Oh, the Eagles are in quite a pickle when it comes to the quarterback position. I mean, what do you do with Mr. Sleevie Wonder? As Howie Roseman continues to hand out extensions and negotiates with other potential candidates, the Eagles are in wait-and-see mode when it comes to Sam Bradford. It's a very, very, very precarious position that Philly has, and, well, we're going to talk about it today. So Mike Owens, Jeremy Burton, they're both here. I'm Adrian Fedke. What do you do?
Well, it's a really tough situation that the Eagles are in here. You know, Bradford had the type of year where he really wasn't that good, but he really wasn't that bad. He was kind of in between, and that's why the Eagles are in the situation that they're in. You don't want to overpay for a guy like Bradford, who's been pretty average in his NFL career up to this point. And you also really can't afford to let him walk away because you really don't have a backup plan right now. I mean, you would have Sanchez as your starting quarterback if you let Bradford walk away. That's not counting what would happen in the draft. So it's a tough situation for the Eagles. And really, the Eagles have three options here with what they can do with Bradford. You can sign him to a long-term deal. The other thing you could do is you could put the franchise tag on him. Then you would have him for 1 year, or you could put the franchise tag on him, and then you could trade him.
Yeah, well, what are we gonna do with Sleevie Wonder? I think the best bet is to franchise him, and then you have options at that point. Yeah, it's gonna be about a 22 and a half, $23 million cap hit next year, but I like the tag and trade idea. Certain options, like, say, you tag them and trade them to a team that would need them, like Houston, and maybe get one of their picks for it. They're picking 20th in the draft. That would be lovely. Or even their second-round pick, and maybe something else, because we don't have a second-round pick. And then there's the option of, drafting a quarterback, bringing in someone at a stopgap. I mean, I don't think we should sign Sam to a long-term extension. I don't think he's worth the money for the long haul. But as a short term, see what you got, franchise tag them. You can still have the option of keeping them for 1 year or doing the tag and trade.
The reason why this is such a precarious position the Eagles are in is there really aren't any other options out there. So what do you do? So it really is going to depend on how much he really wants. I think the franchise tag is the best option because with the franchise tag, you can kind of see how the draft's going to play out because right now you got three quarterbacks that are looking like first-round guys with Jared Goff, Carson Wentz, Paxton Lynch. So you can kind of see who kind of falls in your lap at 13 if you want to do the franchise tag. Because I'm kind of with Jeremy here. Like, you're going to extend this guy and give him 20+ million a season or whatever the hell he's asking for. I mean, that's a lot of money. And the reason why my stance has kind of changed on Bradford over the last month or two, it's due to the circumstances because we're going to be more of a defensive-minded team now. We're going to be more slow and methodical on offense. The quarterback position, in my opinion, is not as important on this team now as it was during the Chip Kelly era. Because when you look at teams in the past, defensive-minded teams that are slow and methodical on offense, it's been successful with guys that aren't great quarterbacks. Look at the Jets with Mark Sanchez. Look at the Giants when they won it all in 2007. Eli Manning was far from an elite guy. So you don't need that guy. So, I mean, if you're paying the guy, $20-25 million a season, you're preventing yourself from, helping yourself at other positions that you have needs at. I don't think the drop-off from Carson Wentz or a guy like Jared Goff, I don't think it's that drastic from Bradford. Paxton Lynch, though, that guy stinks. Just saying.
Yeah, well, this whole situation in Philadelphia with Bradford and really the rest of the teams in Philadelphia right now, I mean, it's drove us to drink. I mean, that's what it's done. That's what it's come to in Philadelphia. I mean, we're going back to the Veteran Stadium days here when we remember going to the Vet and watch the Eagles stink it up, watch the Phillies stink it up. That's where we're at right now. So And now we're just, we've got nothing to talk about, so we talk about Bradford and what's going to happen. And how I look at it is with Bradford, I would ideally like to keep him for 1 year, kind of as a stopgap guy. Then if Wentz or Goff, drops to us at 13, then I would like to draft one of those guys. But as far as the other quarterbacks in the draft go, really don't want to see us go after any of them. I feel like Goff or Wentz, they would be a solid selection at 13. But I think if they try to reach for a guy like Paxton Lynch, I think that would be a mistake by the Eagles. And I think it would also be a mistake if the Eagles tried to reach for an offensive lineman when there's plenty of offensive linemen that they could get in the third round. So it's a really tough situation, and what makes it even tougher is that we don't have the second round pick this year, which is really starting to hurt us right now.
Yeah, and we can thank that chippy little guy in San Francisco for that. But what I think, I said we should, the franchise tag wouldn't be a bad idea because the options are so limited, and you're going to put all your stock, you let Bradford walk or tag and trade him, put all your stock in a guy, a rookie, who, there's no slam dunk like top quarterbacks in this draft, so it's all a gamble. Wentz, Lynch, Goff, they could all be busts. We don't know. You just got to go on upside and your draft board. And, Howie's making up that draft board, so, we don't have much confidence in that board as Eagles fans. But, for the question we got to ask ourselves is, do we want to put a winning product out on the field next year, or we want to rebuild for, down the line? That's kind of what I think the decision that we have to make with Bradford, because Bradford, if you bring him in for next year, I think you can compete in this division, win 9 games, and probably win the division. But if you move on from Bradford, you might only be 7 wins, 8 wins, and then you're looking at the same kind of draft pick next year, and you won't be able to get Watson, and it's just, it is definitely a pickle, So we're in a precarious situation, and you just hope we make the right decision.
Yeah, and going a little bit more in depth on the franchise tag, it was originally designed to reduce player movement to bigger markets because people don't want to play in Jacksonville or Phoenix or Arizona, Glendale. Some of these markets they're not good for but they're not top destinations. So that's why this whole thing was implemented in the first place. And obviously, kind of like what I was saying earlier, if you franchise tag a guy, it allows you a little bit more flexibility to attack other positions of need in free agency. And then obviously with the draft, you can see how that plays out. As for last year, I believe the tag for the quarterback was $18.5 million. But this year, I think it's going to be around 21, 22, 23 million for the quarterback. So, we'll see. I think the franchise tag is the safe move. Even if you want to judge Bradford a little bit further, because this year you really couldn't judge him that well because the receivers were all dropping passes. Our offensive line really stunk. Sure, he did improve by season's end, but I would not classify him as a top 10 guy, top 15 guy. So, is that really what you want to sell for? I don't know.
Yeah, you really put it great right there. It's there's still this sense of uncertainty with Bradford. It's kind of bizarre because we had that the Packers game in the preseason, and we all got excited. And we got all this false hope. And then ever since that Packers game from the preseason, we've never seen that Bradford again. And we've just kind of seen this mediocre guy who's shown flashes here and there, but we really can't get a sense of who he is. And, now the question becomes with Bradford is, you're throwing him into a new system again on offense. So how is he going to respond to that? This system under Doug Peterson is going to be totally different than it was under Chip Kelly, because Chip Kelly's system is, so much different than most systems in the NFL. So, we're going to see how Bradford does under center, how he does, running a slower tempo offense, and how he does at the line, changing plays. So you have to look at it that way too, and it really, what it's going to come down to is, how much money the Eagles are willing to pay Bradford. And I'll tell you this much: the reports when they came out saying that Bradford possibly wanted $25 million a year, Jesus Christ. I pray to God that the Eagles don't even think about anything near that. Really, if I were to sign Bradford anything more than a year, I'm trying to get him from anywhere between really 15 to 17 million a year. I just don't think he's anything better than that.
I completely agree. I think Bradford is a career mediocre, injury-plagued quarterback, and yeah, he only had 1 year here. He only missed, I think, 2 games, but he took some shots, and the receivers obviously didn't help. His stats could have been a little better, but it's not all about the stats. He's definitely not worth a long-term extension. I would be so pissed if we gave him one. Like Adrian said, the franchise tag gives us flexibility, but I've been kind of telling myself and accepting the fact that, I'm being fine with moving on from him and having a stopgap guy, a game manager. Like Adrian said, we're becoming more of a defensive-minded team. There's not as much emphasis on the quarterback. You can just get a game manager guy. We're nothing like the 2000 Baltimore Ravens, but they had Trent Dilfer at quarterback, and they won the Super Bowl. That's the area we're going. We are going to have a great defense, I believe. So whether it's Bradford, whether it's just a guy, whether it's a rookie, I think we'll do all right at the quarterback position.
Yeah, I wouldn't say he's mediocre. I'd say he's average right now with the potential to be above average. But I don't think he's ever going to be great or elite. And if you want to give him like $25 million, he better be fucking elite. So that's my thing. If you want to give him, like Mike said, 15 to 17 million a year, I do that. I do that in a heartbeat, considering how much even average quarterbacks are making these days. And going back to the franchise tag thing, the other thing that you can do, the other thing that this provides you with is you get to see how the market plays out, because you got free agents like Tyrod Taylor, you got Ryan Fitzpatrick, and you got Kirk Cousins. Those are all guys that, you can argue Bradford's better than, except maybe Cousins. In my opinion, they're about on the same playing field. So you can kind of see how much they make, and then you can kind of come to a decision of whether or not you want to extend Bradford. Because obviously, if Kirk Cousins gets some ridiculous contract, like 20 to 25 million, like Bradford wants, God, I don't want Bradford.
Yeah, Cousins is a guy that we're really going to have to watch out here as the offseason develops, because like you were saying, he's really the most comparable to Bradford. And yeah, so whatever Cousins is going to make, Bradford should make about the same. So we got to hope that Cousins doesn't get an outrageous deal, because then Bradford's going to want an outrageous deal. And the thing with Cousins is, it's kind of crazy because out of all of his starts so far, he's never beaten the team with above a 500 record. So that's pretty wild. And he's probably going to get some pretty good money, because the way that the Redskins ended the season, went on into the playoffs. So, it's just, I guess the thing with Bradford is it scares me a lot, because I know that quarterbacks can make a ton of money in this league. And I know what these tricks the agents can pull, and if the agent says the right thing, pulls the right trick, they can get their player a lot of money. So I'm really worried about a long-term long-term deal with Bradford and what money that would entail. That's why I think we're all kind of hoping that it's maybe a franchise tag situation where we only have to commit to him for 1 year or possibly do the franchise tag and trade.
Yeah, I believe Bradford's agent was Tom Condon, I think. He's been known to when he says a number, he sticks with it, and he's a real stickler. I mean, he's going to want obviously he wants to get the most deal for his quarterback, so he gets paid the most. But yeah, I don't know. It's scary. I like the flexibility of the franchise tag, and I also wouldn't mind moving on from him. The free agents, you see how the market plays out. Kirk Cousins is on a level playing field, and he probably will get a lot of money. And at the bottom of his contract, he's probably gonna have to sign. You like that? Because that's his motto now.
Let's never use that motto again. I hate it. It's stupid. It's so stupid. Yeah. All right. The other scenario, I mean, we somewhat, talked about this before with the franchise tag and trade. Your best case scenario with that is if San Francisco, if Chip Kelly wants Sam back, and if Houston wants Sam, you can kind of hope that they get kind of into a bidding war, and Houston gives us their 20th pick. If Houston offers their 20th pick to us, I'm doing that in a heartbeat.
Oh, yeah. I mean, if there was a situation like that and, Houston was going to offer us that pick, I think that we would all be doing cartwheels. That would just be a great deal for us. And, a lot of this, we're talking about, what the Eagles should do at Bradford. But, the other side of the coin here is what Bradford wants to do. And no one really knows what Bradford wants to do because no one's really been able to talk to him since after the season. But, Bradford, if I was Bradford, I think that his best option would probably be going to the Texans. And I say that because, I mean, he could play on a defense that guys like Clowney, and he's got J.J. Watt. And then you look on offense, Bradford could be playing to one of the most exciting wide receivers in the NFL in DeAndre Hopkins. So I think that would be a more enticing option for Bradford. He would also be able to, go back home a little bit since Bradford played at Oklahoma. He could go back to his hometown. So I think that's probably where Bradford would most likely want to go if he was able to, pick on the open market.
Yeah, that's obviously a team that's the Texans are built to win now. All they literally need is a quarterback. They have a stud defense. They also I heard they could let Foster go. They would need a running back, but they're a dime a dozen. Yeah, obviously Bradford would probably prefer Houston over Philly, but you hear that some teammates come out and say Lane Johnson said he would want Bradford back. Zach Ertz likes him. He's liked around the clubhouse, but ultimately it is up to Sam, and money is something that plays a big role as well. Money and location. I think the Texans would definitely break the bank for someone like Bradford because he's far and away better than any Brian Hoyer or Ryan Mallett or Brandon Weeden and whoever that rotation they had in there this year.
Yeah, and something that the Texans used to do. This is another scenario that people haven't really been talking about a lot, and that's trading for a backup quarterback on another team. Texans, they used to do it. The Matt Schaub situation when they brought him in from Atlanta, he was a backup. They even traded for Ryan Mallett last year. He was a backup in New England. So some guys out there to maybe keep an eye on. You got Tennessee's Zach Mettenberger. You've got Cincinnati's A.J. McCarron. You've got Tampa Bay's Mike Glennon. There are other options out there. None of these are appealing names, sexy names, but if you don't like this quarterback class and maybe you want a stopgap guy, maybe you can trade for one of these guys. Mettenberger's the name that entices me. I know Jeremy doesn't like him because he looks stupid, but I think he's got a big arm. I think he's very accurate on the deep comeback, the deep out, and I think he's got good poise in the pocket. So I like him. He would be the guy that if they went that route, he'd be the guy I want.
Yeah, I mean, Mettenberger wouldn't be bad for, kind of a stopgap guy, and you would hope that you would be able to, draft one of these quarterbacks like Wentz or Goff, and then have him be the future guy. But Mettenberger, never really had the best options there with the Titans, and he's shown signs of greatness there with the Titans, but he's also played poorly. But the thing with Mettenberger is he's a tall guy, big guy. He's got the arm, so he's he would definitely be an intriguing option if the Eagles would have to go that way if Bradford leaves, or they wanted to trade and get a stopgap guy for like him.
Well, those three names that Adrian mentioned, I mean, I would probably prefer those guys over Sanchez. So, you got you got that going for you. Mettenberger, I believe he's a career 12 touchdowns, 14 picks. He's fumbled the ball a bunch.
Look at the stats, Jeremy.
I look at the stats, and he does have a big arm. I'll give him that. He does have a big arm, but that's all. That's the only upside I see. He can throw a bomb. He's a big guy, strong arm. Maybe he can work with that. I don't think they would. I don't think the Bengals would get rid of AJ McCarron. He showed some good signs at the end of the year, filling in for Andy Dalton. He's a young guy too. Glennon, and also not a sexy name, but these are options if you want to trade for a backup as a stopgap. It obviously be a drastically cheaper option, and we all think that Sam Bradford's not worth a long-term deal, and we're saying Sam Bradford is not the answer in Philadelphia. So we got to come up with another situation.
Yeah. Let's talk about the draft then, and Carson Wentz, Jared Goff, and Paxton Lynch. Which one of those guys? All right, we'll rank those guys in order. How about we do that? Which one do you like most? Who do you like least? Blah blah blah.
I'll tell you what. It's become quite a race between Goff and Wentz at this point, because for a while there, I think Goff was really the odds-on favorite to be selected by the Browns. But right now, I mean, Wentz has really thrown his name into the pot here, and Wentz really has he's just skyrocketed it. I mean, the Senior Bowl. I've never seen anything like this where, everyone at the Senior Bowl was talking about this guy. Everybody was watching him. I'm sure that every team got an interview with him. He's a hot topic. He's a hot toy. He's a guy that everyone wants. Right now I would say that I would go Goff, then Wentz is a close second, and then for me, Paxton Lynch. He's a farther away third. I'm really not a fan of Paxton Lynch, so yeah, I would definitely go Goff and then Wentz.
Yeah, my order would be the same as Mike's. I think Goff has the highest ceiling. He had a good career at Cal, and he's got good size. He can make all the throws. Even though Wentz is really catching up to him after all this hype for the Senior Bowl. So I think it's a close comparison between them two. I mean, they could both potentially go top 6. I mean, it could definitely happen.
Yeah, they go top 4, both of them. I mean, because who knows what Dallas is going to do? Dallas, Tony Romo's getting older. You may not be in the top 5 again in terms of the draft. So why not draft your guy now? Who knows? So going to my guys, I'm starting to lean towards Wentz being my top guy, which is kind of crazy. The more and more I watch a Goff on tape, I'm not really quite enamored with him. I don't like the way he handles pressure. Throws off his back foot a lot. He does not like pressure. You pressure him, that's how you get to him. I'm also a little bit concerned about how he played against upper-level competition like Utah, UCLA, USC. He didn't look that great in those games. That's why I don't like Paxton Lynch, because when he actually had to play some teams, he looked like shit. He played Temple, the only great defense he played all year. He got shut down. He looked, below average. He looked awful in that game. You look at the bowl game against Auburn. Auburn was a 6-6 team this year. They are average at best on defense, and he struggled in that game too. So, Paxton Lynch is a guy that Eagles fans on Twitter really like, and whenever I argue with them, they always bring up his well, he threw 28 touchdowns and 4 interceptions. He's got a really, really good completion percentage. All right, well, first of all, when you're playing SMU and like UCF and these terrible teams, of course you're going to put up these stats. And the high completion percentage, that is due to the fact that, do you guys know what their offense is? It's like half of it's like bubble screens and shit. I can complete, at least 50% of my passes if I'm throwing a bubble screen every play. So he's when you watch the tape and you watch Lynch and you watch the deep outs and the comebacks and the post patterns, he's not as accurate as Goff and Wentz. Now, it's funny that I talk about the competition because Wentz hasn't played anybody, and that's the big concern there. But when I do turn on the tape, when I watch the tape, the things that I look for the accuracy and the ball placement and the velocity. And whenever I watch him, the ball placement is always there. It's always hitting the numbers. When you throw that deep comeback and that deep out, the 15 to 18 yards, I want to see that easy velocity. And, well, Carson Wentz has it. He's got it, just like Cam Newton does, just like Zach Mettenberger does. I'm just fucking around. But yeah, I mean, he's got it like this guy, like Joe Flacco, for instance. So I like Wentz. Now, I am also concerned about the fact that I think he is shooting up the draft boards due to the fact that it's not a great class, too. So, yeah, there's question marks with every one of those guys.
Yeah, and, when you talk about Wentz, I think obviously the biggest question mark and the biggest knock on him, like you said, is going to be the level of competition. He's an FCS quarterback. People are going to say, well, how's the guy fare in a big game? How's he going to fare in the NFL? The one thing I will give Wentz is, yeah, it is still the FCS, but now, this guy, he's not just playing for some, Joe Smo FCS school. He's playing for North Dakota State, a very well-respected school in the FCS. In fact, they won 5 straight national championships, and Wentz has guided North Dakota State to back-to-back, championships. So he's won the last 2 for him. So Wentz is a guy, he's shown, with the level of competition that, he's faced in the FCS, he's been able to handle it very well. And, when I watch a tape on him, I mean, some of the throws that I see the guy make, throwing it into double coverage, but the throws that really impress me are, the throws that he makes along the sideline or the throws that he makes on the run. And that's the thing. If you could build a quarterback, the prototype would be very close to Wentz because he's a tall guy, he's a big guy, he's about 6'4" or 230, and he's athletic. That's the thing that's key, is having that athletic ability. So he's able to elude pressure, and he's also able to make the throw on the run. So that's what I really like about Wentz. And my biggest fear right now is that the Cowboys coaching staff coached him in the Senior Bowl, and boy, that's scary because there's a chance that the Cowboys select him at number 4, and if that happens, we're going to be seeing Wentz on the wrong side of the ball for many years to come.
Yeah, well, or you can look at the other side of the coin. These are just complete prospects. I mean, you don't know what they'll do at the NFL level. Wentz is going to be in for a rude awakening when he jumps from an FCS competition to the NFL competition. The speed of the game, getting pressure in his face, not a clean pocket. He's in for a rude awakening, and I think these picks, even Lynch too. these quarterback prospects are getting so overhyped because there is no slam dunk quarterback in this draft. You know, it kind of reminds me of 2011 when there was a slam dunk number 1 in Cam Newton, but then you had 3 other quarterbacks that went in the top 12. Jake Locker, Christian Ponder, and Blaine Gabbert. Where are those 3 guys today? Well, Chip's running wild with Blaine Gabbert. He might even start over Colin Kaepernick, or probably not. He's probably going to get cut because Chip's just Chip. But Ponder is a bust. Jake Locker already retired at the age of 27. That was injury related. But I'm just seeing these guys are getting so hyped. I mean, we just won't know until they're a couple years into their career. So Sam Bradford is the best option for 1 year, or I like a couple of Adrian scenarios if you trade for a stopgap guy, or so just go with that.
Wait, so are you agreeing with the Mettenberger?
No, I like AJ McCarron. I wouldn't hate Mettenberger.
Where's the crying emoji when I need it?
He's growing on me a little bit, I guess, but I mean, anything's better. They're all better than Sanchez. I'll give you that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well,
I'll say this about the FCS quarterbacks. There have been 4 guys drafted in the first round from the FCS since 1979. The last one, Joe Flacco. He won a Super Bowl. Steve McNair was the one before that. He got to a Super Bowl.
Rich Gannon.
No, Rich Gannon was not a first-round pick, I guess.
I know he was FCS quarterback.
Bill Sims is another one, and he's pretty good. He won a Super Bowl. And Ken O'Brien, I believe, is the other one, and he's the only one that's kind of iffy. So, history tells us that these guys that come from the FCS and they come to the big leagues, they can be successful. And Rich Gannon is another one that did work out. So it's you can't just assume he played for North Dakota State, he's not going to be any good. You can't assume that. And to further go on about Wentz a little bit, he is sneaky athletic. Don't let the ginger fool you. He's sneaky athletic, so he can scoot.
Yeah, he could definitely scoot. And I mean, I'll tell you what. I mean, I've been on the Wentz train really here. Really with you, Adrian, since day one. Really a big fan of this guy. I mean, when I just turn on the tape, there's some quarterbacks that you look at and you just say, wow, I mean, this guy's got it. And he's got it. I mean, this guy can play in the NFL. I'm about, 85% certain of that. I mean, there's no 100 guarantee, but this guy's got all the traits, and from everything that I hear about the Senior Bowl, I mean, I've watched his interviews there. He's done an outstanding job of handling himself, and apparently he blew all the teams away in his one-on-one interviews. So this guy is very smart. I mean, 4.0 grade point average in college, and just the guy. He's got it all. He's everything that you want in a quarterback. It's just a matter now if it can translate to the NFL. I'm going to say it is. After watching the tape that I have, I think he's got it. So going into the draft, if 13th pick comes and he's there for the Eagles, I'm taking him.
Yeah, I'm not trying to hate on the guy. I mean, I'm just saying he is a prospect. Would I be excited if we got him? Oh, absolutely. But he is a prospect. And I hate, we know how we get brokenhearted very easily here in Philadelphia. We're used to this overhyping so much and then getting disappointed. So I'm just trying to look at both sides of the coin here. But yes, he's a great prospect, and I'd be very excited to have him or Goff for that matter. But like I said, I mean, I think they're both going to go possibly before we pick. So we might be disappointed and have to stick with another option at quarterback like we discussed and going with a not-so-sexy offensive lineman pick at 13.
Yeah, I don't think any of these guys are like franchise savers, for instance. It's not like last year's class when you got Mariota and Winston at the top. This class is a little bit more like the Blake Bortles, Derek Carr, Teddy Bridgewater one. And in that draft, I didn't think any of those guys were going to be good. I like Bridgewater. I like Bortles a little bit. I didn't like Carr at all. I'm a fucking idiot. Carr's really good. But yeah, that's kind of what it's reminding me of. And the Wentz thing is unfortunate because Mike and I have been on the bandwagon for a while. We wanted to trade back in the first round and draft Wentz, and now he's just skyrocketing. It's unbelievable how fast he's shooting up the draft board. So, quite frankly, I don't think we're going to get him. And the fact that we have Howie Roseman making the decisions, we're probably going to draft like Connor Cook.
Ew.
Oh, God. You know what? Wentz is like a really hot girl, but she's like grew up in a really small town, so no one knows about her. And then all of a sudden, she goes to like say she goes to San Francisco or something, and or she goes to Miami and she's laying out on the beach, and then she's just got guys all around her, drooling all over her. So it was kind of, Wentz is kind of one of those guys. He was kind of a hidden secret because, it really takes a die-hard football fan to be watching FCS football. And so not many people have really been able to, watch Wentz develop, except the guys that watch FCS and cover it on a daily basis. But now, starting to watch his game film, you can see why everyone at the Senior Bowl is drooling over this guy. And, like I said, Jesus Christ, let's just hope that the two gingers don't get together and Garrett and Wentz and make a ginger baby because, geez, that'll be a nightmare scenario for Philadelphia.
I'll tell you who knows all about Wentz. It's those die-hard North Dakota State Bisons up there. All those fans in North Dakota, oh, man, they are loving this right now. Their boy is climbing and climbing to the promised land high up the draft board. They're happy. So I'm sure he'll make some owner happy. Hopefully it's Jeffrey Lurie. We need this spark right now. We got a new head coach. We need that. We need something to get us excited. We need, especially an important position like quarterback. It'll be great, to get someone in there like a great prospect like Goff or Wentz, and it'll just bring another level of excitement and for this new regime.
Yeah, and the other question that's been asked about Wentz is, well, if he was such a great prospect, why is he playing at North Dakota State? From what I heard, I'm trying to remember this story off the top of my head. Well, first of all, he grew like a couple inches from his junior year to his senior year. But during your junior year, that's when, all the big-time colleges come and scout you. Well, he was hurt his junior year, so he kind of got fucked over in terms of the big colleges. And basically, he got stuck with the smaller schools because by the time you're a senior, that's when the FCS team, schools kind of come around and scout you, and that's basically what happened with him. So unfortunately, he dealt with injury. I'm trying to remember what it was. I don't remember off the top of my head, but yeah, that's what it is. And then going back to the FCS thing, Mike and I, we used to write for a company called the Sports Network that hosts the FCS awards. So that's why we kind of know who he is. So we know who these big time guys are, and Wentz we've known for a while.
Yeah, exactly right. So we'll see what happens with Wentz and Goff. I'm really interested to see what the Browns do because obviously whatever the Browns decide, it'll kind of determine what happens with Wentz, and then whoever it is, whoever goes there to the Browns, if it's Wentz or Goff, then the next deciding factor will be what the Cowboys do at number 4, and if they decide that they want to take a quarterback. So, because then if the Cowboys decide that they're not going to take a quarterback, then maybe one of these guys could drop to the Eagles because there's not too many teams in between that need a quarterback. So we'll see, but We're hoping for Wentz. So.
Well, Jerry Jones said he has another 4 or 5 elite years out of Tony Romo, so they don't need a quarterback.
Well, the thing is, like, Tony Romo is 36, and how long did Aaron Rodgers take to groom under Brett Favre? So it would not surprise me if they took a quarterback. Do they need one? Not necessarily. I mean, they could use a cornerback before a quarterback, and there's some pretty good cornerbacks at the top of the crop. So yeah, they're going to decide everything for us. In terms of Wentz or Goff or whatever. Yeah, so that's that. So we're already like 40 minutes into the show. Well, I did want to talk a little Lane Johnson and Fletcher Cox. I guess we'll just go really quickly on that. We don't have as much time on that as I thought we would, but Lane Johnson gets a big deal. He is a top 4 paid tackle in the league. He got a lot of money. So yeah, what are you guys' thoughts on the Lane Johnson signing?
Yeah, I mean, Lane Johnson, he got his money to go out and eat, so he's going to be eating for a while here in South Philadelphia, probably hitting up Pat's and Geno's, maybe Jim's. He's, I don't know if he's, whiz with or whiz without guy. Maybe we'll have to find out in, one of these motivational videos that he likes to make before the games. He's all about that, so I'm sure we'll be seeing more of them. Maybe he'll be doing the Dougie in one of them this time around, getting ready for the Doug Peterson era. But the Lane Johnson extension, it had to be done. They had to give him an extension because, they had to lock him up. But the timing of it is kind of concerning to me. I would have went about it a little bit differently. I don't think that he's a guy that they needed to rush into giving him an extension right away because he's still going into this year, he's on the final year of his rookie deal, and then they could have always done an option too for the 2017 season. So with him, for me, I think that they maybe rushed into it a little bit with Lane Johnson. They could have given it some time and waited a while. So that's the thing there with Lane Johnson.
I think it was a smart move. He's a very valuable and versatile piece of our offense, and offensive line next to quarterback is arguably the most important positions on the field because you got to protect the quarterback, and you win in the battle in the trenches on offense and such. Does he deserve top 4 money right now? Probably not, but can he be a future multi-time Pro Bowler? Yeah. I think he has that upside, and you got to pay for your offensive lineman. Jason Peters is getting a lot of money this year. His cap hit's actually over $9 million. But Lane Johnson, this was actually the cap hit for next year got reduced with this deal because how he's good with the cap, and made this deal cap friendly so we can have more money to spend elsewhere this offseason. But I think it was a necessary move. As long as we still lock up Fletcher Cox, that's the most important. And I also want Vinny Curry in here. There's conflicting reports that Vinny Curry might not be on the same side, and whether or not they're going to get something done. They thought it was imminent, and they apparently offered him something. And who knows where they stand now? But Cox deserves to get paid. I heard a rumor that he's going to get upwards of $100 million, $60-70 million guaranteed, right up there with Gerald McCoy and Ndamukong Suh type contracts. So obviously that's well deserved. We can say Fletcher Cox is a top 3 or 4 tackle in the league right now. So that's how I feel about Cox. That's the most important signing, I think. As long as we get Cox done before the year, I'm fine.
Yeah, for me, for Lane Johnson, while it's nice to have him locked up for a little while, let me just throw these names at you: Tyron Smith, Trent Williams, Joe Thomas, Lane Johnson. Which one of those guys doesn't fit in the 4? So they did kind of overpay for him, and I'm kind of with Mike here. I would have preferred to give him the option. Because for me, he's still kind of got to prove himself a little bit. I don't think he's a top 10 tackle right now. I don't think he's top 15. Maybe he's top 20. I thought he had a pretty bad year this year. A lot of penalties. He needs to get better in pass protection if he wants to be the future left tackle of the Eagles, that, elite tackle that, they think he's going to become. So, I mean, I'm nitpicking here, but yeah, that's kind of how I feel there. I would have waited. You didn't have to do it now. You could have waited until next year. But, hey, it's nice to have him locked up, and, you can only hope that he pans out. The way I feel about him is the way I kind of feel about Zach Ertz. There's potential there, but he still hasn't lived up to it in terms of, the huge expectations that I have for him. Because I think Lane does have the potential to be really, really good. But just, third year is when you're really supposed to take that leap, and he took a step back last year.
Yeah, I think really with Ertz and Lane Johnson heading into this year, 2016, I think that we're really hoping that they can both develop into Pro Bowl players. That's really what the Eagles need, because obviously with the Eagles, giving them contract extensions, they want them to be, the future of the team and be key players on that team. So we really need them to both live up to their potential. The thing with the Lane Johnson deal, I was trying to do some research on this last night. I don't know if this is accurate, but looking at different things, I believe that he was supposed to be a $6 million cap hit this season, but with the new deal, I believe now that he's an $8 million cap hit. I don't know if that's accurate. I'm not a numbers guy like Howie, but I think that's so. I think we're actually losing $2 million against the cap.
Yeah, I don't know. I heard on the radio that it was kind of the opposite, but so I don't know. Maybe we're both wrong and still the same. Who knows? But yeah. I mean, I think it was we could have waited. There's a 5th-year option that you could have gotten with the rookie deals. But then maybe we would have had to shell out more money if he had a fantastic year next year. So, I mean, who knows? It is nice to have him locked up, though.
Yeah, I mean, well, for me, it's like if he had a good year, I think you could have given him the same amount of money. And that's my thing, because he got top 4 money. How much does he fucking want? He got the second most. He's got the second highest guaranteed amount of all tackles. So he got paid very, very handsomely. He got rewarded for having a mediocre season. That's kind of the way I look at it. But hey, again, I'm nitpicking. I just really hate Howie. Fuck Howie. He's an asshole. He's a prick. He stinks. He's terrible. I can just keep throwing the adjectives out there.
Yeah. Well, the other thing, Lane definitely used his leverage in this situation, because Lane knows that he's eventually going to be the starting left tackle on this team someday when Jason Peters is done. And the other thing is Lane Johnson is he doesn't have any really injury past here with his career with the Eagles so far. So having that Iron Man streak going also helped Lane Johnson in this situation. So yeah, I think the Eagles could have waited with this one, but hey, I'm not going to complain. I mean, we locked them up. I mean, it's tough to find good tackles in this league, so he's a good tackle, so I'll take it.
Yeah, I mean, I know Doug Peterson coming from the Andy Reid tree and offensive lineman. We had the Trey Thomas and John Runyan for so long, locked up on either side. So obviously we'll need to fill in for when Lane moves to left tackle and Jason Peters is out of here. We'll need another anchor on the other side. But I think a lot is going to help. We talked about Lane Johnson having a great 2014 season. Well, the guards were Todd Hermans and Evan Mathis. You put next to him last year a mishmash of Andrew Gardner, Matt Tobin, and then switching to the left and then having Alan Barbary to you when Jason Peters was always getting hurt. I think getting filling in the gaps between the tackles and Kelsey at the guard positions is gonna do a lot, and I think get a more cohesive unit in our offensive line, and you'll see the improvement in Peters as well. I mean, we all know how Peters kind of felt the same way I do about Chip Kelly, and then Lane Johnson and Jason Kelsey, I think, will also improve on their 2015 season with better guard play.
Yeah. What was I going to say? Oh, thing that the popular talk on Twitter, at least a lot of people are saying is, they're reading into the Lane Johnson contract as well because he got paid. They now think that Jason Peters is going to get cut. You guys think that's the case?
I don't think that they can afford to cut Jason Peters right now. I think that you have to keep Peters for at least this upcoming season, because you would really, I mean, then you're talking about possibly having to draft an offensive tackle there in the first round at 13, because you would need him to step in right away, because we sure know that Dennis Kelly isn't playing tackle anytime soon. So I think that at this point, you got to hope that Peters has another good year left in him. I mean, Jesus Christ, Peters spent more time on the trainer's table this year than he did on the field. And somehow, by spending all that time on the trainer's table, it earned him a spot in the Pro Bowl. So you can see what a popularity contest that is. But, yeah, somehow Peters still gets the, the recognition when he really had a bad year. So, I mean, really, the Eagles got to hope that Peters can bounce back.
Yeah, I definitely do not think it'll. Yeah, we'll save some money. We'll save like over $6 million, and it'll be $3 million or so of dead money if we cut Peters. But no, that's not the move to do. If I was Howie, we need that. We need him to have a bounce back year, and we need a healthy offensive line like a few years ago when obviously LaShawn McCoy went off and led the league in rushing. Offensive line is so important, and they got to be healthy. Hopefully Peters won't be poisoned by the smoothies this year. We're done with that. So, hopefully he'll stay healthy. And, if we need 2 drafts worth of linemen in order to kind of get our depth back up there and get a couple more guys in there. Because if we got rid of Peters now, we wouldn't have two capable tackles, really, or be asking a rookie to fill right in. And I don't think that's what you should ask of a rookie right now. Let Peters finish out this year, and then, draft linemen this year and next year as well, and then that should get us on track.
Yeah, our offensive line's the weakest, position on our team. You can't cut Peters yet. I don't think you can. Who are you going to put at right tackle? Who? Yeah, I mean, I guess, yeah, sure, you could put a rookie in there, but yeah, I don't think that's not the right move. I think you got to keep Peters in here. Sure, he gets hurt all the time and all that stuff, but that's why you draft a tackle too. And when he gets hurt, you can kind of plug him in. But yeah, I don't agree with cutting Peters at all. And also, the underrated thing that people don't talk about with him is his presence in the locker room. I mean, this guy is a leader in that locker room. People go to him. People gravitate towards him. So I don't think that's the right move. I used to be on the fence. I kind of went back and forth on it, but no, you don't cut Jason Peters. I don't think that's the right move at all. Moving on to Cox. Over $100 million. That's the reported number. It doesn't surprise me at all. I mean, shit, the guy's a fucking beast. But it's funny though. Some people on Twitter actually were complaining. They're like, well, that's too much money. Well, he's a top 3 defensive tackle in the league. He's going to get paid like one. Gerald McCoy makes, what does he make? $96 million. Or I think that was Darius. McCoy just signed a $95 million contract over 6 years, and then McCoy I think was Darius was $96 million for 6 years, and Ndamukong Suh was just absolutely insane. 6 years, $114 million. That is ridiculous. So if you're looking at $100 million, he's going to get paid like the second best defensive tackle in the league, and you know what? He pretty much is.
Yeah, I mean, give Cox all the money that he wants. The guy deserves it. He's the best guy on this football team, and with the Eagles switching to that to the 4-3 defense, it's obvious that Fletcher Cox could even improve more and play better than he already has, and that's a scary thought. The guy is an absolute beast, and when the Eagles switch to this 4-3 now, I mean, he already had a career high 9.5 sacks in 2015, and that sack total is just going to increase with them switching to the 4-3 alignment. So yeah, let Cox get as much as he wants.
That sack total for a defensive tackle of all positions is crazy. He did play DN on the 3-4, but it's a different scheme. Pretty much he's definitely a middle guy. So yeah, to think that he can even improve on that, I mean, yeah, he's complete stud muffin. I would easily give him $100 million, $65 million guarantee, whatever it is. Just give it to him. I want him on our team for life.
Yeah, and if you think about who the top three, 4-3 defensive tackles are right now in the league, well, first of all, I'm not putting Sue on that list because he clearly doesn't care in Miami. He just doesn't give a shit anymore. So who do you have? You got what? Gerald McCoy and Aaron Donald. Those are probably the only two guys I would take over Fletcher Cox. And yeah, so he's deserving of the money, and he's going to get it. And he's going to kill it in Jim Schwartz's defense because Jim Schwartz gets a lot out of his defensive tackles. Look at Albert Hainsworth, for example, and how much of a beast he was and how much pressure he got on the quarterback. I mean, it's not an unrealistic, thing to, maybe he might get double-digit sacks. I mean, it's not out of the realm of possibility.
Yeah, no, not at all. I mean, he's going to tear it up, so... Yeah, I mean, Cox is the one guy on the Eagles where you really can't complain about the amount of money that he gets because he deserves it all. So, yeah, not much else you can say about Cox, but he deserves it.
Just the sheer impact that he has in the trenches and the penetration he gets in the backfield and the disruption of the pocket and it forces quarterbacks to move or out of the way, and then they run into the defensive end that's rushing or a linebacker's rushing on the other side. Just his presence is just undeniable, and he's just he's one of the best players in the NFL at such a young age. It's great. Good for him. He's going to eat all day. Eat quarterbacks for lunch.
I keep cutting you off. My bad. But I agree with you. That was a really good point you made there because while he might get the 8 to 10 sacks, that doesn't even count the other sacks that he forces because if you do get that penetration inside, that allows your defensive ends to pick up more sacks. So it's like the assist in hockey, the secondary assist or the assist in basketball. That's pretty much what that is. So there you go. All right, we're almost an hour in now. I didn't want to make this show that long, but we're almost there. So final thoughts time. Let's just go real quick. Super Bowl. Final thoughts. Super Bowl prediction. We forgot to talk about the Super Bowl.
Yeah, final thoughts. My question is, when is this damn personnel guy being hired? That's what I want to know. I mean, Jesus Christ. I mean, we freaking got a head coach faster than we're getting a damn personnel guy. And, well, you would think that you would want to get a personnel guy in before you hire a head coach. But, well, that's the Eagles running the show and Jeffrey Lurie and Howie Roseman. So it's pretty obvious that Roseman's back in control. And, yeah, scary situation there. But my Super Bowl prediction, oh, man, this is going to be a hell of a game. Probably a pretty good defensive battle. I'm actually gonna say that I'm going with the Panthers. I'm gonna go 20-17, but hell of a game.
So yeah, don't have a personnel guy yet. It says that Howie Roseman is back in charge, and I'm pretty sure of that. Hopefully, we can bring in. Was it Hunt is his name from the Steelers?
Yeah.
Hunt, anyone from the Steelers front office is, it's just one of the best organizations in football. They only had, they draft amazing, picking the best receiver in football, Antonio Brown, in the 6th round, for instance. So, just that would be great to bring him in as to help Howie. Super Bowl prediction. I'm going to go with. Actually, Mike kind of took my score exactly, but I'll take it the other way on a winning Brandon McManus field goal, 20-17, Denver. Peyton going out strong.
Yeah, I think Denver's going to win too. Everyone's assuming that the Carolina Panthers are going to win by double digits, 4 touchdowns, 3 touchdowns, whatever. They think it's going to be a blowout. I do think there's something about having, Super Bowl experience. Of course, saying that, I said the same thing a couple years ago when the Broncos played the Seahawks, and, well, that didn't turn out too well. But I do think there's something to that. Cam Newton's never played in the Super Bowl. That defense matches up pretty well against the Panthers. I think they'll be able to stop the run and Jonathan Stewart. But with that being said, though, I think it's going to be a really, really good, solid defensive struggle. It'll be close. So yeah, I'm thinking like 16-13 Denver. I'll go with Brandon McManus kicking the late field goal.
Temple product, baby.
Temple pride. I never would have thought, watching Brandon McManus play I never would have thought he'd be a pro. I remember at Temple, man. Not only is he a kicker, he was the punter too. So to see him in the NFL and to see him in a Super Bowl, that's really cool. And if they win a Super Bowl and if Brandon McManus does kick that game-winning field goal, one of these pictures will turn into I'll throw Brandon McManus up here in the newspaper section.
Perfect.
So there you go. All right. We're going to cut this off now. We're over an hour now. We talked a lot today. Big long show. I didn't expect the quarterbacks to go that long, but yeah. So that's that. As you guys can see, I put Jeff Garcia back up there. So I hope you guys like. With that being said, Mike Owens, Jeremy Burton. I'm Adrian Fedke. Go Broncos, because Eli Manning cannot have more Super Bowls than Peyton. It's not allowed. It's not allowed. So, chicken parm, you taste so fucking good. Later.
Say it.